open arms. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
Welcome. Good evening out there in the UK. Good afternoon for those who are stateside. 3 more days till the season starts. Are we excited? We have some people in the chat who are in the house. We also have our awesome panel of guests here. We'll start with our guests. Brother Ash, how are you doing?
Well gone, my people. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on with the brothers, the Greeks, and my Americanos. Like, yeah, blessings, man. Blessings.
Definitely. Yeah, we're all brothers up in here, and most definitely. And we got the brother from another mother, Mr. Stelios.
What's happening, Mari? What's happening, Ash? Big up the Greek and Postacoglu. doing his bits in Spain.
It's a new.
Yeah, it's good. We're good. We're good, man. We're good. Don't start going gym in your 40s. Do it earlier. I've started late, and it's too much, man. It's too much. I'm not gonna lie. It's too much.
Keep to the walking. Keep to the walking. All right, one step at a time.
Oh man,
I did the walking for 2 months. I've now started doing the cardio and the weights, and it's you realize how bad the situation is. You realize how bad the situation is. Anyway, we move. We move.
We got people in the house. Big up to 3SS Sports Picks. Big up, big up. We got Boxing Hotspur. Good evening. Okay. We got Una Emery up in here. All right. We got Ron. My name is Jeff. He was in the house. Mark Swift. Got a like for the Pimp Daddy. Please hit likes. Subscribe. Please hit the likes. Please, guys, don't be selfish. Hit the likes. We got Big Tony, big supporter. Big up, big up. We got Mr. Grumpy Grandpa. Everybody loves Grumpy Grandpa. Big up to him. We got Rams. He's excited about his Arsenal team. He's excited. Yeah, it's a big season for them. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Graham, big up Graham, who's also in the house. Language Angels. I like this name. Language Angels. Oh, big up, Language. Richio 63. Evening. We got Rob, who's also in the house. Love the picture of Jimmy Greaves. And we got Roy, who's also in the house. Big up to all those.
Murray.
Yeah.
You see Roy.
Yeah.
He runs a group called I think it's called History of Tottenham. Anything you want to know about the history, I mean anything, this guy's knowledge is second to nobody else. Like nobody else.
Okay.
Anything, even the change of kit between the semi-final in the FA Cup in 1972, for example, or if there was an FA Cup, he will know. He's a machine. He's a knowledge machine when it comes to Spurs.
Get him on the show.
Roy knows his stuff.
Love to hear the history of the club, especially if they were alive to see it. Big up to King Arthur, who used to be on the show and just kick us with some knowledge about some old Spurs, the days of Jimmy Greaves. Big up Crouch. Am I saying correct? No, it's K4CH. Big up.
Big up to him, man. He messaged me today with like some stuff to look at for tactics. He's from Chechnya. He's from Chechnya. Crouch. Yeah. Big up.
Okay.
Big up. I said I'd say hello to you, man. Big up.
We got three guys here who love to break down the film. Will, Ash, and Estelle. We got the coaches. We got people break it down. So we're gonna break it down tonight, big time. World famous. And then Darren, big up Darren. Big up Will, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
Doing good. So let's get to the first question. Preseason is over. I could start off with overall thoughts of the preseason, or I could start off, are you excited about this upcoming season? I'll say this. It's weird. Last season, I was excited because going in, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to probably finish top 4. Man City is going to win the league. Liverpool will be there. We all found out, Arsenal was on top throughout the season. Man City caught them and surpassed them. And so that happened. And then that excitement that I had, because we won the first game of the season and so on. I'm thinking, okay, we'll probably show something during the Champions League. This is a little different of excitement in regards that I don't feel that I'm going to be bored of games. We may not win games because our defense is atrocious, but I am excited that we're playing forward football. Are you guys feeling that same way in regards of excitement? I mean, naturally you'll be excited because the season's coming in. I hate the dead period. It's football starting, so I am excited. But are you excited about the upcoming season? Well, I'll start with our guest.
Is that me? Yeah,
Yeah.
boy, it feels like Christmas.
Bash.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm just counting the days down.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at. I'm not even just looking at us. I'm looking at other Premiership teams. So I'm just looking for it to get started Saturday. No, Friday even. What am I talking about? Friday, it all kicks off, and then all the way through to like Sunday. We come down on Sunday. So I'm mad excited. I can't lie to you. I'm excited to see how we play, win, lose or draw. I'm just excited to see the boys back in action. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, especially like the fact that we're going to be gun ho. The fact that we're going to be gun ho, that's enough. Like it could be it could be a mad thing where they're scoring goals, we're scoring goals, but we just don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? The fact that we've got like a new manager, it just gives, and a manager that not many people have heard of or know about too much. A lot of people are expecting us not to do well, finish outside of the top 10, whatnot. So I don't say we got a free pass, but at the same time, if we don't do well, then it's expected. But if we do well, then people are going to be shocked, like, oh my goodness. And I just want to get back to the ways where fans outside of Spurs enjoy watching Spurs. Remember them days when you just like people were like, raw, I kind of like that Tottenham team. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That was the days that I used to like when like we were the Brighton. You see what I'm trying to say? We were the Brighton. We were the people, the team that everyone loved. So I just want to see us kind of just have fun, go for it, take time and just play this kind of expansive attacking football and just see what happens at the end of it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the season too. I mean, I always enjoy watching Spurs, regardless of the style of play. But yeah, it's always good to see something new, something different. You know, believe it or not, I always have a positive outlook going into the season. I always hope that we're going to do well. Always hope that we're going to finish strong. And yeah, and I'm, you know, while a lot of people think I'm negative, I'm just more of a skeptic, right? So for me, it's just take things a game at a time, see how things go, watch carefully, you know, analyze the good things, you know, analyze the bad things, and take it game by game. But from what I'm seeing from preseason, though, it's, you know, it's fun, it's exciting, you know, learning a new manager's tactics. I mean, I'm a dork like that, so whenever we get a new manager in, I tend to do a pretty in-depth study on them. If they've published any books, I buy them and I read them, or you know, watch 1,000 different videos about, you know, what they do and stuff like that. So, you know, learning, you know, Postacoglu and his style and stuff like that, it's fun, it's exciting. It brings more, you know, excitement than I guess if it was kind of the same old story under Conte, right? So, even though I liked Conte.
yeah, and it's like I said, it's a different excitement, you know, compared to from last season to this season. But still, how are you coming into the season? Are you excited for Sunday's game?
Yes and no. I'm a little bit different. I'm excited because I like football, and without football, it's you're trying to find things to do. It's hard to do content as well when you're on YouTube without football. So I'm looking forward to that. I've got major concerns about us, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think the football's beautiful to watch at times. Some of the two-touch intricate play, the way we try to play out from the back when we get it right is so good to watch. We're scoring goals, but whenever we've come under pressure and it gets a little bit intensive, we just seem to shed in too many goals, and I don't see how that's going to fix anytime soon. So I know a lot of fans want to see good football, and I get it, but for me, this is a results game. And at the end of the season, if we come 7th playing brilliant football and Arsenal win the league title, talk to me about good football, right? Talk to me about good football then, because that's not how it's going to go down. It's going to be very, very painful. So I think by the end of the trial, do you know what? I said it 3 months ago. I said it 2 months ago. I'll say it again. I will tell you how I really feel, Murray, end of the transfer window. When I know who's still here, when I know who's come in, when I know who's gone out, when I know what's going on with Harry Kane, then I'll know exactly how I feel about this season. Because I know whatever we do now, like people are praising Perisic, for example. Like, you know, he's exciting. He's a different player. Give it 4 or 5 months' time when his legs go and he runs out of steam. Everyone's going to want him out of the club. I know how this plays out. So I'm excited for the way we play, but I want to see results. And I'm not seeing results at the moment against teams that can properly test us. So I'm apprehensive, if I'm honest with you, but I get why everyone's excited. It's after the last 4 years just to see good football. I get it. I get why people are excited. But if we finish 7th or 8th, what's the point? What's the point, you know? So let's see. Hopefully I'm surprised and we come like 5th or 4th and I'll be sitting there saying, wow, what just happened? That was incredible.
Yeah. And that excitement is, you know, despite, you know, our preseason, most teams have played 6 games or 7. We played 4 if you count Lion City, if it's a pub team. Do you feel, you know, what are your overall thoughts on the preseason? Are our players ready? Are they ready to, you know, go full throttle? Because, you know, we got, you know, Brentford on Sunday. And so, you know, 4 games, 12-day, 11-day gap. Big up Scott M, who's also in the show. Ash, what were your thoughts on the preseason? I mean, are the boys ready to go on Sunday?
Well, it's not exactly how we wanted it to go. Compared to the other teams that had the USA series, the Premier League series, they had a lot more games, a lot more high intense, better quality opposition. It's very clear for all to see our preseason wasn't up to the level. Games were cancelled for whatever reason. And we just didn't face that level of competition on a frequent basis. So I think the season is a possibility we may start slow because of it. And we may suffer. But the games we did play, it was good to see and learn about different tactics, to be fair, like to see how Ange Ball was set up. I think a few fans got to see the style and the intensity of the play. And I know behind closed doors, Ange did a lot of work. However, it's not the same as having a competitive game. Because a lot of those friendlies, they didn't look like friendlies. They were getting red cards, yellow cards, challenges were flying in. I know Chelsea got a player injured and Cuckoo's injured. A few other players as well around the leagues. They've lost, I think Arsenal lost Jesus. So it's one of those ones, like you can have a pre-season and you get a few injuries, a few knocks, and a few top players or key players that are on your first 11, they might miss a game. But at the same time, you want your players to be sharp and fast. I watched a game against Brentford and Brighton, and the way Brentford were pressing, they were on it. And I look at what we played against Barcelona yesterday, and I'm thinking about the press we're gonna take on. It's going to be interesting to see how we deal with that, because throughout our pre-season, we didn't really have that press up until Barcelona, and I think we did deal with it very well in certain scenarios, certain angles. But I think the problem is for me is when we press, I think we're exposed, and the reason why we're exposed is because it's not just a personnel thing, because as a fan base, we like to target individuals. We looked at Sanchez or we looked at Dyer. I thought Sanchez played quite well and Dyer didn't play so well. But what I saw, especially in the first half, I saw Sanchez go after players, and he might go after someone like, I don't know, Rafinha or Pedri or someone, and he would follow them all the way into their half. A bit like when Dyer followed, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Silva against Man City, and he followed him all the way back into his own half. I saw Sanchez do that, and then I saw at times Dyer do that. So I feel like that's an instruction from Postecoglou that he wants his centre backs, at least one of them, to follow whoever's up top aggressively. But what happens with that is it leaves gaps. And that's the reason why they were able to kind of thread balls into that space, because certain times we had two of our fullbacks inverted. And then what happened was, because one of our centre backs pushed forward and one of our fullbacks, they didn't fill in at certain times. So there was like a massive gap. One of our fullbacks, sometimes they would pull wide, but it'd still create a massive gap because there wasn't a back three, so to speak. So it made it easier for players like Lewandowski to get the run on us. That's why they scored so early, because I see Sanchez push up high, but then I saw next to Sanchez, it was Reguilon, right? Reguilon pushed up high as well. So Reguilon went first, and Sanchez also went high as well. And it just left a gaping hole. But it happens on the other side as well with Dyer. So sometimes, even if we do get those key players in, I think that tactic, that's going to leave like other players, that other teams are going to pick up on that. Brentford, they're going to think, right, all right, we're going to go over the top. We're going to go direct. We saw what Barcelona did. And we're going to hit those spaces. And so right now, I don't think Van der Ven's going to be ready to start straight away. So there's a problem straight away, right? That if Van der Ven's not starting and we've got someone like Ben Davies as left-sided centre-back, he hasn't got the pace. He pushes and follows his man all the way up. We saw it also against West Ham when one of our defenders pushed up aggressively, and the Sailors. We push up aggressively, and then the gap's just there. There's no longer. Sometimes we do a 2-3-5. We've got two centre backs free with Basuma and the two fullbacks inverting. That just leaves so much space in behind, or sometimes just like holes everywhere. So for me, that's going to be not even a personnel thing, a tactical thing. I think there's an issue there, in my opinion. But yeah, just going back to your question. Sorry, I kind of went on a rant there. Season, I just think, like, obviously they've done their work, they've done their training. It'll be interesting to see how sharp they are and how we react to Brentford's press when we face them. It'll be telling.
Scott just came in, so I'll give him the chance to answer this question, combined with overall thoughts of the preseason. But are you excited about? I mean, of course, football's back, so naturally, I think you'll be excited because there's action. But are you excited? I mentioned being excited last season, thinking, okay, we're going to have a top 4 finish. This year, like Ash and a couple of people mentioned, because we're playing a different type of football, a more entertaining football. May not be defensive, but it'd be more entertaining football, maybe more goals. But are you excited about this season coming up?
Yeah, I mean, aside of the obvious, it's always better to have football than no football. Even if I'm down on Spurs, I'd rather them playing games than not playing games. But I'm not overly excited. I think maybe just over the years, right? We've all had our times where we've got our hopes up, and I'm just can't get excited again. I wasn't one of the people who was as much of I just want to see good football last year. I wasn't as down on the football. I wasn't down on the manager. As many people know, I wasn't Conte out. I don't think Conte was the manager. I think the players were, and I haven't seen enough changes to the players that I'm really excited about what we're going to see. Will we see a different style? 100%, right? There's going to definitely be a different style, but for me, I'm not sure that's going to be better. I'm not sure it's going to be more enjoyable. And I think even for everyone, if we start to get down and we're not getting results, I think the novelty of watching good football is going to wear off pretty quickly. It's a lot of fun right now to say we want to watch good football, but if we're battling for 10th place in the league, I think it's going to be tough to continue up with that positive that, yeah, it's okay that we're in 10th place because we're watching good football. I'm not sure how long that'll last. So glad it's back. Let's hope it is. And let's hope that, as every year when I say that I'm not overly excited, I hope they prove me wrong. I hope this is the year everything clicks and they prove me wrong. But based on what we've seen, based on the issues we still have at key positions in our club, in our squad, I can't be overly optimistic.
Well, pose you that question now. Overall thoughts on the preseason?
Yeah, I think I won't go in depth. Ash was obviously did a great job there. I heard him talking about a lot of the tactical stuff, but one of the things when he was talking and I was thinking about is a lot of the times it's like, isn't this what you want to have players in and have time to work on in the preseason? You know, he was talking about Sanchez went up and Reguilon went up. Wouldn't it be nice to have our back four, the player who we're having at the center back, to work with the other center back he's having so that they get a sense of in the game when they're going forward, what they should do, what the player likes to do next to them. Like for me, overall, whether we win 4-2 against Barcelona or lose 4-2 against Barcelona in a preseason match, the result doesn't really matter. But I think what you do want is you want time for players who haven't played together, haven't played in the system to start to do that in the game. Because I would think, you know, doing it in a game, even a preseason game, is more effective than doing it on the training pitch. You need both, right? You need time to institute it on the training pitch, but just doing it there, I can't imagine is enough. In our preseason, from the start, right? A lot of people say, well, it's not our fault the game got rained out, but it was our fault that once Roma dropped out of the game, we didn't replace them with a quality team, right? So that when our game did get rained out, we're down a game. And I think it was planned poorly from the start. And then due to Roma dropping out, due to the game getting rained out, we just didn't have near enough quality games that I think we needed to in the preseason. And we didn't have guys in. Van de Ven should have been in at the start of these games. He should be playing with players right now. So we can get excited about having him in, but he should have been in here so that he can be in those preseason games, playing next to Romero, playing next to Udoji, or whoever we're having, or Reguilon at left back, right? And getting used to playing what they're doing in the new system, what their tendencies are, what you should do when they react this way in the game. And so unfortunately, I think the preseason has been kind of a pretty terrible overall in what we've seen.
Yeah. Just to mention, guys in the chat, can we please not mention drama in the chat with other channels or whatsoever? It's been said, everybody's all cool, everybody's all good. So please do not, your comment will be blocked. Please do not mention other channels, other people, who has beef with who. Right? We're excited about the season. Let's talk about Spurs. All right, everybody's excited about the season. So let's stay away from drama. All right, save that drama for your mama. Just kidding. But yeah, as we say, save that drama for your mama. But not personally your mama, but yeah, it's the same. But who wants to go next? Stella or Will? Your thoughts on the
Mari just digging a hole. Save the drama for your mama. But not your mama.
My mama's mama.
Save
No,
it for
your
mama.
mama. That's mama's mama.
You guys can save the drama for Mama Coates. All right. So for people who don't know, Mama Coates is my mom. She's probably watching right now. So yeah, excited for the season as a whole. I mean, other than what we said earlier, or what? Like, what were the particular
overall
aspects?
Thoughts? Was it a success?
Oh, preseason? No, preseason was a cluster.
Okay.
Right? It was the cluster from the time that Roma canceled to the rain out to basically you got teams like we're playing Brentford on Sunday and they've already had 5 preseason games, and we've had like if you look at individual players, the way that he split it up to where they were only playing 45 minutes apiece. Your starting 11's not going to have any more than maybe at most 160 minutes in their legs, right? 180. So I don't know, man. Are we going to be physically ready for this? I mean, like in preseason, we saw that the football was good. Like you can see the changes, you can see what they're wanting to do, and you can see all of the things that we probably will see, 10 weeks from now. But the two teams that we went up against that were, somewhat competent for the most part, barring a, was it Thailand or a Singaporean professional team, and then you've got Shakhtar Donetsk, which is a team that's kind of been ravaged because of the the war in Ukraine. But the other two teams that we play, we got beat, right? Like even though it looked positive, like it was great. Like I think we dominated Barcelona for probably a good 65, 70 minutes yesterday. got beat. So are we ready as fans to lose the first 5 games of the season? I mean, for me, that comes down to the ill preparedness of the preseason.
Yeah. Before I go, Stell, big up Spurs fan, the Spurs fan. Another score for the protest. Dig deep, folks. It's our club too. These boys are paying out of their own pockets.
This is it's a fan called Tommy. He
It's from Scotland.
I've got this one right, by the way. I got the wrong Roy earlier on, but no, Tommy supports us in the protest, so he's donating for us to get to the protest and stuff. So big up to Tommy. Big up, Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, guys.
I think he's a Stewart too, if I remember correctly.
Get the likes in. Smash
his father
the like.
or mother was a Stewart, something like that.
Yeah. Stell, overall the preseason, what did you think of the preseason?
Just big up to all the mamas out there.
Big up, Mama. It's my mom's birthday tomorrow, by the way. So if you're watching,
happy
Mom,
birthday
happy birthday
to Will's mama, all the hardworking mamas. Just want to give you a big shout out from time.
She'll be 38 tomorrow.
Preseason is probably the worst one we've had in a long, long time. Partly because we just didn't get the right people in place, scouts, recruitment officers. Where's Scott Munn? Where's the football director? Took us, we had to wait till Ange finished his season to come in. So I think it was partly because if you had a smaller squad, I think the preseason would have been a bit better. But trying to give 35 players minutes is ridiculous. Then you've got the game that got cancelled. That's nobody's fault. It is what it is. But for me, it's the level of competition that we played that I don't mind if we only have 3 or 4 preseason games as long as they're intensive. As long as it, like last night, you saw it was intensive. It was end to end. Everyone was being tested. There was some crunching tackles. It was very much like a Premier League game. That's what preseason needs to be more like. Young boy sailors, waste of time. Playing West Ham was a waste of time. Shakhtar Donetsk, I thought that was a waste of time as well. If I'm honest with you, I don't understand. I would rather we play better quality opposition and lose every preseason game, but really see what our players are about. Because against young boy sailors, everyone's saying, yeah, this will be good for Richarlison. He's got his confidence, scored a hat-trick. And, we're sitting there laughing, thinking, are you kidding me? And then last night, you saw the reality. He's not good enough. Richarlison is not good enough for the level that we need. A mid-table club. Listen, maybe we are a mid-table club now. Maybe this is our level. I don't know. Maybe he's arrived. But I don't think we got too much out of pre-season other than a couple of players that surprised us. Like Basuma really stepped it up. Lo Celso, I've said for a long time, if we play the right way, he can play football. I think Oliver Skip's come out of pre-season better. Udogie looks like an exciting player. So there's some promising signs there. But overall, what did you learn that you didn't know? The entire defense, the whole back line, and all the wing backs cannot defend. We don't have any defensive players in this club, like none of them. And this goalkeeper that everyone said, but Buffon said he's amazing. Really? He doesn't come off his line. I did a whole show this morning about it, and I broke it down, and he doesn't come off his line.
Was it Buffon or was it Grey Poupon?
Grey Coupon. It was Coupon. But I don't understand. Look, I get it. He's young, so I'll give it a season. I'll be fair. It's only right. Give him a season, and let's see if we get some better defenders in front of him. What he's like then. I get it, but I'm only going by what I've seen pre-season. And pre-season, all the defenders that I thought were rubbish are rubbish. All the attackers that I thought were rubbish are rubbish. And a couple of players that we've signed that I'm not sure about, I'm still not sure about. I haven't learned anything new, so I don't know. Hopefully, Ange has seen it. Hopefully, Ange has seen it. And he's told the board, look, for 1 year, okay, if we have to ride it, we ride it. But at the end of next year, they've got to go. Like what Poch did. After Poch's first season, we got rid of 12 players. I remember he cleared it all out. So if we've got to ride it for a year, and this is the transition year, Rebuilds take time. Okay, all right, then fine. But it has to be 1 year and 1 year only, Mari. If there's going to be 2-3 years to get rid of Dyer, Davies, forget it. Because Harry Kane's gone at the end of next year. If he's not gone now, he's gone at the end of next year, right? So that's going to take us back a step. What anyone says to me about Harry Kane, you don't improve by losing your best players. I don't understand this concept. You need to keep your best players. So, but that's another debate. Preseason we learned nothing. In my opinion, I didn't learn much other than Postecoglou is a better manager than what I thought, because to get this lot playing football after 3-4 weeks is impressive. That's really impressive. Yeah, really impressive, actually.
Well, I mean, I think too that there's a little bit more of a difference here than people realize. Like, this isn't really the same. If you're looking at the people who are kind of making up the starting 11, bar the front line and then Romero, it's kind of a brand new team, right? So was it really that hard to get them to be playing football? I mean, because if you look at the lines, Kane, Son, Kulusevski are having the hardest time at adjusting to this new Postecoglou system. It's kind of the B team that's kind of clicked into it, and those guys have been here, less than 18 months, right? So, I think he's had a little bit easier of a go than people realize. Like, Ahmed Assar hadn't really been bedded into a Conte system. You could say Richarlison hasn't had a whole lot of games under Conte and wasn't really, a part of Conte's play either. Lo Celso obviously wasn't. A lot of the guys, Basuma didn't feature much for Conte. The guys that he's kind of gotten to play in the system are the guys that we haven't really seen. That's what I've learned, is that I don't think it's been as hard of a transformation. Okay.
But question then. How many of those B teams are going to start against Brentford? Because I bet you hardly any of them start against Brentford.
Yeah, probably not. But
so what's the point? Like, what's the point then? We're going to end up going with the same old, right?
I think you'll see.
I think some of them will feature though. Like in second half, some of those players will come on, could make an impact. That there's extra time now, not extra time, but they've added and allocated another 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So. Crazy. Maybe those B team players that were featured in that game, like what we were saying, maybe they might come and make a difference. For example, sorry to cut you, Will, but like I learned that the Celso sometimes interchanges with the fullback. So I saw Reguilon doing like an underlapping run, taking his spot, and then what happened was the Celso dropped in deep, and he was like the controller, like a deep lying playmaker, and helped Basuma kind of thread balls forward from deep. So I thought, right, that's a different option. I didn't see that coming. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So maybe that could be something that is introduced. Even when it comes to Oliver Skip was a 6. Well, I thought it was a 6, a double pivot, sorry, in the Conte system. But now him being utilized as more of an offensive eight.
You can't play as a 6, Ash. I don't.
Yeah,
Skip,
I know that. Yeah, we all know that now. But before we didn't know, and that's what I learned. That he's more effective being a box.
I've been saying it for 2 years. Because when everyone's going in on Skip, I've been saying he's a good player. Play him further up the pitch.
But this is it now, because people are saying. So no, so lots of people are preferring Sarr to Skip. But I'm saying if Sarr comes off, like imagine Sarr started against Brentford. Now you've got Skip coming in. It's kind of like almost not a like for like in terms of attributes, like him getting into the box, him finishing chances, almost doing like a Lampard, like what he did. Rather in the box, scored a header. Rather in the box, got that the rebound off the post, scoring a goal. His decision making is really good, and he's executing a lot better. So now we can start seeing a different role for Skip. A lot of fans are now getting behind it. So
if Basuma plays like he did last night, then he should be our number 6, in my opinion.
For me, I've always seen Basuma like that. I've always seen Basuma as the jelly because he's so technical.
But he looked really, really good yesterday.
He took leadership because he
looked really good yesterday.
The free kick, he moved off Lo Celso, like he's playing with like he got the cojones. Yeah, he came out yesterday, and I watched another stream. There were people cursing him out, the Barcelona fans, because he was everywhere. And this is we wanted to see. Like this is
that's right. Yeah.
I would have liked to see him take a crack at. I would have liked to see him take a crack at goal though, rather than a little froofy pass in behind the line. Though, to be honest with you, on that free kick, if you're going to push Lo Celso off,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
Just going back to when we're talking about the preseason, though, that's one game. It wasn't even a full game. So we hope, but we have no answers because, could you imagine if we went on, like, you look at all those teams that went to the U.S. and played in those Premier League games, right? And Basuma could have played against 2 or 3 quality teams. Then we could see. Then he could have shown us if he did that in the 3 games, you have a lot more confidence in it. Because even now, Estelle said, if he can play like that game. So we're still going in hoping. And that's the biggest thing, right? All the big questions that we're looking for. We're still not sure Vicario is good enough as a keeper. That doesn't mean he's not good enough, but we don't know. We still don't know if we have a solid center back option, right? We still don't know whether Udoji is good enough at left back. We still don't know what's going on at right back. And even if Skip is showing good things and Lo Celso showing good things, like, to me, that's a positive, but those are kind of secondary issues. And all of our main issues that we had coming into this preseason are still a concern. And maybe I'm expecting too much from a preseason, but we didn't address any of it.
For me, I'm giving this whole season a pass. Like, that's me personally. I can't speak for everyone else. I'm giving Ange that kind of transitional season, like Stel was saying before. You kind of give your coach the benefit of the doubt in the first season. That's the reason why I'm looking forward to it, because come what may, people are expecting us to do horrendous. So if we don't do too well, that's what people expected. But then if we do do better than what people thought, then obviously it's a bonus. But for me, like, towards the end of the season, I started seeing green shoots from Basuma. The way he was taking charge, I could see it from before. So it's going to come to no shock of me that that's the reason why Andrew was like, oh, I might make him captain. And he was calling him dad and uncle. I could see already that, and the whole team's lifted. You could just see the way they're interacting, the way they change, the way they're speaking off the field about the manager. You could just see that the environment is a lot more positive, and that's translating onto the football. And yes, the results, like, everyone wants to see good results, but I think most fans can get behind attacking football or have a defeat, but at least they gave it a go. Do you know what I'm saying? At least they gave 100%, at least. But then the second season, I think then it will come back to Scott M's point. People will be less forgiving if the results aren't there after the second season, because I get in the neck from, you get Chelsea, I've got Arsenal boys around me all day, United, let alone Spurs fans. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to put out so many fires. I don't need to fight my old Spurs man them as well. Like, it's crazy. So it's that's just me personally though. Like, respectfully, like, that's how I see it. So that's the reason why I can kind of be excited for this season, and I could say, raw, Basuma was doing his thing when he did come back. He came back hungry. He even come out and said, like, no, I'm ready to play ball, I'm ready. And then this season, he just came back with that same energy, because that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at energy as well. And he's giving me the right vibe. So, but we'll see, innit? We'll see. Time will tell.
I just want to mention we got 180 people here. Please smash the like. We should have more likes. Please smash the likes.
Murray, I don't know if you know, because I didn't know, but the Premier League clubs who are in Europe, they joined the Carabao Cup in the 3rd round. Because Chelsea and Tottenham aren't in Europe, we're in the 2nd round of the cup draw tonight.
Yeah. I know.
I didn't even know.
To see who we are going to play. So once I get the update, I will announce who are we playing in the second round.
I didn't even know. I just thought it's 3rd round if you're Premier League.
Yeah, extra games.
So the season's going to start, and we still have about 3 weeks left of the transfer window. It really, the whole Kane situation, and me personally, I think he's not moving. It's really down to Levy. His ego. Levy is not, as much as he loves money. I think Levy also he's a narcissist. His ego. Nah, I'm not letting Kane go. So that Kane money is not being used. Are there still some more signings? Is there another center back coming in? I've heard anything, and trust me, I would love to get Eze to come in, but I'm like, do we have the money for Crystal Palace to get an Eze to come in, or have the money to get an Orban? If we don't sell Kane, is there more signings coming in? We just saw a boatload of signings just come in.
It's mad, bare teams are like, so many teams are spending. Like, I'm thinking, bro, where's this extra guap coming from? So many teams are just spending racks like it's water. I'm looking at Villa. I know Villa got rich owners, so they've been getting money. I do get that. But I'm looking at the whole league, the league as a whole. They've been all spending. Or is it just me? I feel like everyone's just spending.
I agree with you.
I know, like, obviously, we move a bit different. We move like we ain't got no money, like we're broke, tight jeans fitted, you know.
FFP only affects Tottenham, Schmag.
That's
FFP
how
only
we're
applies to
moving,
Tottenham.
bro.
That's
Like leaders like, I'm following the rules, guys. Yeah, you guys are gonna be in trouble. You wait. But like for me, this like I feel like we've got paper. I feel like we've got it, and I just don't know whether or not we're moving a bit stiff because of the whole Kane situation, and we don't want to be overcharged and overpriced. I feel like this whole time this Kane situation has been going on, that Gift Orban thing that's been floating around for a long minute, and they keep coming out saying, regardless if Kane's here or there, we're still looking at him, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, 20 mil, I think. I don't know, 30 mil, whatever. If we got 30 mil for a striker, then what are we doing as a club? Anyway, we're linked with another defender in Per Schur from Torino. He's a back option. He's worth between 25 million and 30 million on transfer market. These aren't outlandish like figures. And the brother, he's 23. The kid's 23. He's Dutch. Can play on the right side of the centre back or central. So obviously he could fit into the squad and push Romero for a place. So I don't know. It's possible if we're not going to go for the Tapsoba, because it sounds like the Tapsoba one is, I don't know the money situation, but it sounds like 50, 60, maybe 70 mil for a Tapsoba. That's why we're dragging our heels on that one. So that's why we're looking at possible other targets for centre backs. In terms of the midfield, it looks like Højbjerg could go. I'm not sure. Højbjerg's looking like he wants to move. Champions League football and Atletico Madrid have come in for him. So if one goes out, I know how Spurs move. One goes out, one goes in. It's like the centre backs, and Rodon's just gone to Leeds. So obviously we've just got Van der Ven, so that makes sense. And then the other two defenders, obviously Sanchez and Tanganga. Tanganga's been linked with Inter Milan. So I don't know how much money we could generate from those two other sales and centre backs. But if two other centre backs go in, then surely we're going to bring in another centre back, in my opinion. And I don't put Ashley Phillips in that category because he's 18's a part of the youth, isn't he? So I feel like we could get, me personally, I think another centre back is plausible. I think without us breaking the bank, I feel like we're going to go for another centre back. And I feel like if Højbjerg goes, another midfielder will come in. But that midfielder, I don't know if the club perceives Højbjerg as a 6 or an 8. And if he is a 6 as a defensive midfielder, if they perceive him as a defensive midfielder, are we looking for a similar type where we look to replace him with, I know we've been linked to Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa, whether we can get him over the line or how much money it will cost to get him over the line, it's up for questions. But the thing is, I think Højbjerg wants to go. I actually do think he wants to leave, and I think that's the reason why we're looking for likes in that position. And then I just think with Gift Orban, regardless if Kane's here or not, I think but Eze, I would love Eze, but I just can't. I know they said that what's his name, Brian Hill, has got an injury, and that's the reason why we might move for an Eze to fill that quota, because
we won't pay that money.
I don't believe it. I don't. Even Alistair Gold obviously is credible, but I doubt it, man. I think it's a pipe.
I don't see us paying that money for Eze because Crystal Palace is going to start at 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 50 was Gray. Remember Gray? We were linked with him. He was 50. So they can't lose Zaha. At least he's been linked away with either Man City or Chelsea. And then now what? They're going to sell Zaha. Are you mad? That's three. That's two big players, or three big players in the attacking position. They would never sell with that little amount of time to get replace him as well. I'm not convinced.
Mm-hmm. So, I want to bring up this, and this where it may get really, really interesting. I want to do an overall team prediction, but before that, who are the players you think are going to shine in Big Ange's system, and who are going to be, players, we could say player of the year, most valuable player, who's going to improve. I can give you some of mine. I think we've been talking about. I think Basuma is going to be very, very important. I think he's going to have a great year. Um, Despite the defense being bad, I think Romero, I'm going based on his challenge, what he said a couple weeks ago, is going to have a bounce back year. Um, that doesn't mean we're not going to leak more goals because I still think we don't have enough. Um, but in regards to the defense, but I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I also um, think Sonny is going to have a uh, I don't want to say bounce back year, but I want to say definitely he's going to take advantage of what's going on in Ange's system. Um, and so I think he's going to have great opportunities to score and assist. And then probably, I think, I know people are killing Udoji in regards to his defense. I think he's going to improve, but I think and Udoji going forward, I think he's going to shine this year. So those are the four players I think are going to stand out in the club. The ones who are not going to stand out, you know, pick him Dyer. He's going to get smoked. Davies going to get smoked. Reggie, as much as I like him, I think he's going to get smoked on the defense. Um, but those are my opinions. We'll go with Stell. Stell, which players do you expect to shine or think is going to shine this year?
I think Udoji will come into his own as the season goes on. I do think he will, but he's got to be given minutes. If we're gonna, my worry is we're gonna chop and change the fullbacks. We're not gonna have a settled back four, and I think that would be a disaster for the players and for the team. If he gets minutes and he becomes a regular wing back, I think he'll do well for us. I think our midfielders are going to do well because everything goes through that midfield. They make it all tick, and I'm actually excited now to see Bissouma, Lo Celso, and Bentancur. I think that's going to be one hell of a midfield. You know, I really do. I'm looking forward to that. I think Skip will have a decent season. I don't think Richarlison will have a good season. I just don't think he's up here. He's got it, and technically, I don't think he's consistent. Solomon might surprise us. He might surprise us. I think Sonny, if we move him inside and not keep him out wide, I think he'll have a good season. If we keep Son out wide, I don't think that's a good position for him anymore. In fact, if we sell Kane, I would make Son the striker for the team. I would put him as the main striker if we sell Kane.
A lot of people say that.
Sonny's dependent on where we play him. I think if we play him in the right position, I think he'll have a good season. If we play him out wide, I don't know. Who else do I think will have a good season? I think Romero will have a good season. Because he was the only player last year that could properly play the ball out from the back, calm, composed, and he always found that direct pass into the midfield. And I think he suits Andrew's system perfectly. So they're the players I think that will stand out. The rest, I don't know. I really don't know. We'll have to see as the season goes on.
Will, your players who you think are going to stand out?
I think Basuma, hopefully. This is a hope. You know, there's not a whole lot of evidence in it, just, you know, preseason. But, and I mean, how many times have we seen in preseason players, you know, do well and then end up going out on loan a week later? And you know, like I thought Harvey White did really good in preseason last year, and we never saw him, right? So, Basuma, Lo Celso, you know, that's it really. I think, you know, maybe a Doji, people, you know, because you haven't seen him before, right? So I think people will probably be a little bit impressed with him. I think Porro will probably do better than people think. When I rewatched the game yesterday and I was paying attention a little bit closer than I was on the live stream. Like people say he was bad in defense and he made a few little mistakes, but he also made a lot of saves. Like he saved us quite a few times with, sliding tackles and breaking up runs and stuff like that. So I don't think he's as bad as people make out. The front line for me, I think is going to be a little bit tricky. I mean, if we go back and look at, there is some data to see what Son and the right-sided wingers, the kind of numbers they'll put up in a left mid and right midfield or left wing right wing type of a scenario rather than the counterattacking scenario. Before Jose and Conte, Son rarely exceeded 12 goals a season, right? But he was always hitting 10, 11, 12 assists. And I think that you're going to see, that type of an output from him. You're going to see more assists than you will from goals. Like he'll get the occasional goal here and there because he's Son Heung-min, but you're not going to see 15, 17, 23 goal a season numbers because he's not playing, as a second striker or, off the back shoulder of a defender. He's creating space and putting balls into the box for Harry Kane.
Well, would you move Son from the left into the middle?
I mean, if Kane's sticking around, obviously you're going to play Kane through the middle, right? You're not going to leave Son on the bench. Would you
potentially play Son then if Kane stays? Would you potentially play him behind Kane?
In a Madison position? No, I wouldn't play him in a Madison position. I just let him play out wide. The guy at one point in time was on track to be the only winger in the entire Premier League to get a 3 double-doubles in a row, right? Position.
Don't you think he's a different player now? He's not the Sonny of 4 or 5 years ago. He's evolved into a different player, and he causes more problems. He's more effective now.
Yeah, I think he's got Kane's the same way. People talk about Kane's 4 goals the other day against Shakhtar Donetsk, but if you watch the first half and most of the second half, he was out of position a whole lot of the time in midfield, playing right wing. Right, he was very rarely positioned on the back shoulders in between either the two center backs or a center back and a fullback, which is where the striker is supposed to be in a Postecoglou system, according to every single video that you watch on Postecoglou tactics.
Yeah, but when he gets 4 goals, you can't argue, can you?
Well, but you can, because the 3 times where he was in the right spot were the 3 times that he got a goal. Right, like that's my point. Right, that when he was in the position that Ange Postecoglou wants his strikers in, he got goals. I mean, that's the point, right? And if we're putting in 30 chances, if Son's putting in 8 crosses from the left side and Kulusevski's putting in, 6 or 7 crosses from the right side, he's going to get a lot of opportunities, not to mention the balls that Maddison and the other midfielders put in for him. I mean, you're looking at him having up to probably, 10 to 12 shots a game if he would stay in the right position. I mean, that's why Richarlison looks more dynamic. That's why Dane Scarlett comes in 10 minutes off the bench and scores a goal, because he was in the right position. He was there. When the ball came into the box, he was on it. Right? It was a great finish from him, too. I'm not going to discredit the finishes. I mean, if you look at Harry Kane's open play goals, they were all right, boom, right there. Right? Balls coming across the face of goal, passes from midfield right into him inside, just outside the 6-yard box. I mean, that's where he should be. But if he's dropping deep and playing out wide, he's not going to score. That's why he didn't score in the first couple games.
When I see Perisic crossing balls into the box, or when I see Reggie putting balls into the box, I think they're good at it. I think they're really good at it. I don't see Son as that player. But what I do see, and this is what I'm saying, I don't think Son is that player. There was a time when he was, but he'd cut in and drive into the box, not necessarily cross balls into the box. Whereas now, I look at Son, when he's more central, I think he's a far better player now. I don't know what we do, because I find that when he's out left, he's not the player that everyone wants him to be. But when he's more central, I think he's still got it 100%.
I think people are judging him. Right, I agree, but I think people are judging him based on his counterattacking numbers. Right?
I
If
think
you
they're
watch,
judging him by the Son from 4 or 5 years ago. I think they're
No.
judging him from the previous Son, but I think he's evolved. I mean, what does everyone else think? I think he's evolved into a different player.
Me personally, if I can jump in, it depends on the opposition. I would prefer Son on the right, doing what Kulusevski does. He cuts in. I think certain times when
On the right, really.
yeah, on the right, because if you see how Kulusevski plays, he kind of cuts in a lot more. One of the fullbacks, what they do is one kind of goes. So, like, if you notice, Reguilon was underlapping and overlapping with Perisic. They kept switching over. I don't know if you noticed that. So that allowed space for the other side. Sorry, the other side with Porro. Porro didn't do that. Porro kind of sat and stayed central. So that gave more space for what's his name? Solomon. Solomon kind of held his width, whereas Kulu, when Kulu's on the pitch, Kulu likes to come inside and then he likes to cut it back and do that type of stuff. So I think if Son was there instead of Kulu, I think you could get Kulu again by himself and he wouldn't have any midfielders interrupting his runs. Skip knows when to run into that space. I think that's the difference. He kind of delays it, and certain times Skip kind of drops back in that midfield role like a little bit deeper. So that's when you get Son having all that space, all that time. Because remember, the whole argument before was, is Perisic getting in Son's way? Now on this left-hand side, because you're having that left-sided fullback breaking in late, he's also coming into that channel where Son likes to thrive. So I'm thinking, well, instead of playing him on the left, maybe we play him on the right and then make him invert a little bit more. And then it just comes to like positional play because they just need to get used to.
So you would drop Son. Sorry, you would drop Kulu for Son. That's what you're thinking.
It would make more sense. You could either have, at times, it depends on the opposition. It depends if we're gonna, if the other team are gonna have a lot of the ball. Certain times, I think Son could start over Kulu on the right, and then you could have either Solomon or Perisic on the left because they naturally just hold width, if that makes sense. Whereas I feel like Son wants to invert, come inside and shoot. So one winger inverts and one winger hugs and interchanges with the other fullback. Do you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes that fullback, that left-hand side is very busy because I saw at times Lo Celso arriving in that kind of half space. And then certain times I saw Reguilon arriving in that half space or Reguilon going out wide, or you saw Perisic so wide. That's why I'm fascinated by the tactics because it's like if that person's in that position, then someone else is in that other position. It's like they're interchanging on that left-hand side, whereas the right-hand side, they kind of hold that kind of width a little bit more. I don't know. That's how I watched the game. That's how I saw it. Respectfully, that's what I think. So
Yeah,
Son being out, I get what you're saying. Like Son as a striker, but I'm assuming Kane's staying. We're not selling him. Then Kane stays up top as a target man. He doesn't drop deep. He doesn't need to do that. He just stays as a box striker. And we create like 20 to 30 chances for him. And he just literally latches onto, like a fox in the box. He just latches onto whatever's left. But Son's going to have all that space because that left-hand side's so busy that he's going to have all the time in the world. And for me, like, I think Maddison was probably start over Lo Celso, in my opinion. So I think that, like, the last game, I thought Maddison and Lo Celso were working well. I thought they were interchanging quite well. I thought the passes into each other.
So who's your three in the middle then?
My three in the middle. So my three in the middle would be Basuma. It doesn't matter. Basuma could be Basuma, Maddison on the left, or Lo Celso on the right, or vice versa. Or I could have Sarr or Skip. It doesn't matter. The 2-8s for me, they're really interchangeable. And it depends on the opposition. So if I want to go slightly more defensive, I would have Basuma and Sarr, and then Maddison. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think box to box, I think Sarr kind of breaks up that play and he's able to get back because he has the legs and help out. And then he helps out Basuma at times. Do you know what I mean? So that's my midfield three. But it all depends on the opposition, and it all depends. And I think that's why Postecoglou was saying it's going to take them time because they're not quite there yet, but they need to know like positional play. If you're in that space, you need to be in that space. And then it always needs to be a passing option. So horizontally, there needs to be 3 players horizontally, and vertically, there needs to be 2 players in the line. There can't be more than 2 players vertically, and it can't be more than 3 players horizontally. And they just need to interchange and keep that triangle going, switching places at each time. That's how I see it. But yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I think.
So basically, if you study the Postecoglou and the way that he's worked, and he's said with his own mouth that he's pretty rigid in his formation and how he plays, but he's a little bit more flexible on the roles that the individuals play within that system.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
so basically, how he works is on the 2 wings you have basically a triangle, a left triangle, and a right triangle, and those triangles are allowed to, shift, interchange to different positions. So you can overlap or underlap, like you saw, Perisic yesterday did 2 flicks into Reguilon as he underlapped in between the fullback and the center back. And then he would make runs on the left while Reguilon would pull back in behind him and cover that backspace where Lo Celso is sitting on the edge of the box. And those triangles, they move up, but the aim and the goal of those triangles is to create space and to be able to feed the striker who's supposed to be sitting there, and or find, if the striker pulls the center backs deep enough, find that attacking midfielder who's sitting at the edge of the box.
That's right.
in about 4 or 5 yards of space, because of the space that the triangle is creating in that format. So I mean, Son could eventually. I think what we're seeing though is we're seeing players being a little bit, because I think Postecoglou meant what he meant by they're doing what I'm telling them to, but they don't believe it yet. Means that it's too robotic, and it needs to be more free flowing, right? Like they just need to instinctually, like if Son cuts in, the midfielder needs to pull back and go a little bit wider, and the fullback needs to overlap immediately. Like, because if you watch them at Celtic, that's the way that they did it. Because you had a striker who scored like 30 plus goals in the season, but you also had each winger that was scoring like 10 or 12 a season as well.
We've got football players at this club that don't have game intelligence as well. We've got players that will never get it because they're just not good.
That works too, but I think it just takes time,
right? When it comes to the game, tactically, they're inept.
Because if you're working,
you have players that are just
right. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're working in training, and you especially when you've been playing a certain way, we've been playing defensive for 3 years. You get stuck in bad habits, right? Like I think Harry Kane dropping deep to the midfield, because while the Japanese guy that played for Celtic, in the defensive phase of play, would drop into midfield and help, collect balls and help work things. As soon as the ball went in transition, he immediately would turn and run to those center backs, where you don't see Kane doing it. I think he just has a bad habit where he's nervous or worried just subconsciously. Like he knows what he's supposed to do, but he sees the game and he's like, I got to help out. And so he takes 2 steps forward before he gets to the center backs. And by that time, it's too late, right? The wingers already have the ball. They've already overlapped. They're already putting balls into the box, and there's nobody there. Like if you watch the game versus Shakhtar Donetsk and you see the balls that Son put into the box, in the first half, he put 2 into the box that Harry Kane ended up cracking a shot off. You remember on the far right-hand side that the old-time keeper saved? Both of those shots came from Son crosses from the left-hand side. But then there were many times when Son crossed. There was probably, I think, 5 other times that Son crossed the ball that were quality crosses, but there was just nobody there. There was nobody at the far post. There was nobody in the box. The ball came at a good height with a good pace at a right angle, and there was just no one there. Like, and there's supposed to be people there in a Postecoglou system. That's the problem. Yeah,
it's going to take time, and I think when they start to understand it and they believe it a little bit more, we'll start creating more chances.
Well, yeah, you saw in the second half they started to believe it more. They started following. You saw Kane stop dropping deep, was higher up the pitch. He was in the right position more often in the second half than the first half, and he ended up getting 3 goals out of it. Right. So I mean,
yeah.
Ash, and we'll then go to Scott. Who are your players you're expecting to shine? Your predictions.
Because I spoke a lot. Sorry, go on, Scott.
Oh, we'll go to Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people have covered it well. I'll say Lo Celso. I think, especially, although who knows if he's even going to stay, right? But if he stays, I think Lo Celso, especially when Bentancur is hurt, should be a starting midfielder for us. And I know people will be concerned about the work rate or the defense, but I don't think if you put in a Sarr or a Hoiberg, that means that we're all of a sudden protected at the back. I think the reality is with the system and the players we have, we are going to struggle. We're going to ship chances no matter who's in there. And I think I would actually have Lo Celso starting alongside Madison and Basuma until Bentancur gets back.
I agree with you, Scott, because for Argentina, that's the exact role he plays. He plays at 8, box to box. He doesn't play as a 10 for Barcelona or for Argentina.
Exactly.
One thing he does, and people kind of mock him for it, but when they say he just recycles the ball, but good. If he can do that, that's what we need, right? He's going to get the ball to the players that need the ball. And he might not be Kevin De Bruyne in terms of making passes, but he can make passes that beat the defense. And I think that he's a guy who could really play an important role until Bentancur comes back. And you know what? If he's doing well in that role and Bentancur comes back, great. Because how long has it been that we've had a position where players are getting sat on the bench, not because, or players are coming into the lineup because they're playing well, right? Usually it's like, oh, this guy's injured. We just have to put a warm body in there. It'd be nice to have 4 quality midfielders and we can rotate guys in because we have quality players on the bench. So for me, I'll say Lo Celso is the guy that I really hope and I think can have an important role for us and something that we haven't had in the past, where we've just kind of said, let's put Skippy in there and hope that he can do something for us, right? So yeah, he's a guy that I'm looking forward to see.
Well, and I'd like to see more rotation at the end of the games too. You know, I mean, we've got 5 subs now. The games are going to be a little longer. Why can't you rotate out 2 forwards and 2 midfielders and those 5 substitutes, right? Like, you know, and then whichever fullback is pushing forward and making runs more often than the other. I mean, that sounds like good substitutions to me. I mean, you're obviously not, if Kane stays, you're obviously not going to sub him out. You know, he rarely, I mean, how many times did we see Kane come off the pitch last season? None, right? And then, you know, you rotate, you know, 1 or 2 forwards on the left or right winger. Then you do 2 people in the midfield. You bring Skip in for the last 20, 30 minutes. Or, you know, I mean, or start Skip one day, bring in Lo Celso on the other day. I don't have any problem with people rotating in that manner, right? Especially if we're utilizing the squad in a Man City style where everybody's getting an equal amount of rotation, right? This talk about sitting this guy because he's dog shit and stuff like that bothers me. But like rotation as far as helping the squad out, got no problems with that. That's the way we should be playing.
Yeah. Ash, who are the players you're looking to shine this season, or you think it's going to shine under Big Ange's era?
Just to add to what Will was saying, I do agree. Like rotation, especially when you're playing 70 minutes, ideally, that's when legs get tired. That's when you want to kind of throw like something onto the field that asks a different question. You know, tactically, the team set up differently. We saw what happened when we played Brentford last season. You know, we were attacking with Ryan Mason, weren't we? And then as soon as he tweaked it, Thomas Frank, we fell to pieces. So I would like us to do the same to other teams, you know, at times, even against Wolverhampton. I remember watching a game, I was doing a watch along, and then Labatelli just switched it up and we ended up losing. He went for 3 in the midfield because we were killing them with their 2 in the midfield. They tried to match us, but as soon as they went 3 in the midfield, they started killing us. But I think how Postecoglou changes it is through personnel. Like, as I said before, Solomon has different attributes to Kulusevski, do you know what I mean? And that's how you change it tactically. But for me, the players that are going to switch it up for Spurs, I think Maddison's going to be, I think Maddison's going to do bits. The reason why I think he's a player that has a bit of quality, that he can play in between the lines. So in between the defense and midfield, he can pick up those little pockets and he's not afraid to shoot. He's someone that has quality and can finish those shots from outside the box. And equally as well, what I think he needs to learn to do, if Kane is persistent in dropping into that hole and he wants to, you know, drop into midfield, I think with Maddison, he needs to learn to run in behind him, because that's what he was doing at Leicester, and he will score hella goals. He'll score mad goals, because in the box, I believe that Maddison is a deadly finisher. He's played as a false 9 before. I'm not saying he's going to do that for Tottenham, but I'm just saying in that area, he scores boxes. Like, in terms of like left-hand side or right-hand side, he can shoot with either foot. He can arrive at the right time. He's got that game intelligence. I think even his passing is quality. He just has that confidence on that half turn. Twinkle toes, first touch is good. he's actually not that slow. He kind of can accelerate and beat players. I've seen him do it for England as well. And I just feel like as time goes by, that relationship will happen, and it will happen instinctively. But yeah, Maddison for me, Basuma I've said already, because for me, he's the man that kind of just glues it all together. And I actually saw him against Leeds, it was, when we beat him 4-1. And, you know, he came at the end of the game and was clapping the fans, the away fans. And that's when I saw the Basuma that we saw at Barcelona. That's when I saw him wanting the ball from deep and then progressing the ball. Like, he always showed for it. And he's got the technique that you could put onto left foot, then right foot, drop a shoulder and progress, beat players, etc., etc. So Maddison, Basuma, I feel that they're going to play well. And then I think the fullbacks, not defensively, but I think the way they interchange with the eights, teams aren't going to pick that up. They're not going to see that coming, in my opinion. And I feel like those fullbacks arriving in the box late, it almost feels like Spurs finally have extra men. Like, you know, when we used to play teams and we're like, bro, it feels like they got extra players. It feels like we got 10 men and they've got 12. Finally, it feels like, for me watching preseason, that we had the extra player, especially when we were like confident, dominating the this is against obviously lower teams when we're dominating the ball, we've got possession, blah 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 blah. I feel that's when you're going to see those fullbacks shine. But even against the bigger teams, I feel like Postecoglou is going to be like, listen, you don't stop. Like, I think everyone thinks we're going to fold against the so-called sixes because they're going to press us well and blah blah blah. We saw it against Barcelona, whatnot, and we still got the same old tight defense. But I just feel like, regardless of the opposition, we're going to play a certain way. And this season, we're just going to go for it. Whether the results are positive or not is a question or a debate in itself. But I think we just need time to bring those players in.
Ashmatic, right?
Go for it.
Barcelona are not the Barcelona of old. Okay, they've got some very, very exciting young players for sure.
Of course.
When it mattered, they put 4 past us. Okay, but fair play, we didn't have our strongest team out, so there's an argument there. West Ham, who are nobodies, 3-4 chances, they score 3 goals. The issue I've got, right? This is the problem I've got. On average, we score 1 goal in every 5 chances. So against Barcelona, we had 14 shots on goal. Yeah, we got Fulham. We got 14 shots on goal, and we scored 2. So that's 1 goal in every 7. In the previous games where we scored 5 goals, we had 30 shots on goals. That's 1 in 5. So we're averaging about every 5 or 6 shots, we score a goal. That's the ratio. We've got a kind of 1 in 6 return on shots taken that actually hit the back of the net. At the other end, it's half of that. So half the chances that we have created against us go in the back of the net. So the ratio is lopsided towards us conceding. My concern is Brighton, Newcastle, United, City, Arsenal, they're going to pump us. And this is my concern. For all this wonderful attacking play and all these chances we're creating, and it's great, listen, it's brilliant. But the ratio at the other end is worse than the ratio going that way. This is the problem.
For me, sorry, go on. Yeah, for me personally,
yeah, I just say it's just lopsided.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, the quality of chances will improve because let's face it, West Ham was the first game. They're getting used to it. The other game was called off, and then we had the Sailors. Like, it's not really.
Can't you say that for the opposition as well, though? They're going to improve, right?
For me, I'm not looking at the opposition. I'm looking at the pattern of play at the moment. I'm just looking at the pattern of play, the amount of time he's had, and these players coming from one system into a new system and trying to get that belief into them. Because I feel like with better quality chances, because I feel like, yeah, we had a lot of chances, but what were the chances saying? Were they shots from outside the box? Were there shots where we crossed it where we should have shot? Because certain times I thought the pullback was there. Why didn't you pull it back? And we went for a cross, and then that chance, keeper ended up saving it. Or there's a chance where Basuma did an amazing run, but then he hits it right at the keeper. Like, he should be putting it back in net, but he's not used to being in that position at certain times. So I feel with time, when players get used to those roles and it becomes natural, I think we'll create better quality chances. So I know, yeah, we're creating a lot of chances, and the ratio is not adding up. The math ain't mathing, you get it? Because at the back.
But I'm not.
And they're punishing us.
I'm not worried about the attack, right?
I know. It's the defense.
I think the attack won't improve as much as what the defense is going to. See, this is the thing, right? This is the thing with football. Like, we all know this. Confidence is key. Confidence is everything. This is when average teams go on a really good run. Once they get momentum of a couple of back-to-back results, confidence is high. Everyone's playing out of their skin. You saw it last year with Unai Emery. Don't tell me that Aston Villa squad's better than us. But he went in there, they got a bit of momentum, and then they just kept going in the same direction. If we start hemorrhaging goals and we start getting pumped, it's going to be an absolute nightmare trying to pick up those players off the ground and raising their game. That whole defensive unit. I think Spurs have to get off to a good start. I think we have to get off to a good start, because if we get off to a bad start, I think it's very difficult to pick up that defense, because we've seen what they're like in the past. We know what they're like, some of these players, and they're still here. So I'm worried. I'm being honest. I'm really worried. Attacking wise, I think we're going to be brilliant. I think we're going to surprise. I think we're going to surprise everyone. Ashmatic. I think we're going to shock a lot of clubs. I think Tottenham this year are going to surprise a lot of people.
We're going to shock fans. But for me, defensively, I agree with you.
I think we're going to be good. But defensively, I think.
Look, at Celtic, Ange came to Celtic and he started slow. He's notoriously known for starting slow with his teams. And I think it's because of that.
It's the best team in Scotland. They spent more money than anyone.
No, Celtic's a bad example, but I'm just saying in general, he's known to know.
Have we signed Longley?
Yeah, I was looking down. I kept looking at my phone to find a reliable source.
Everything I just said, Ashmatic, I doubled down on it.
I haven't seen. I have not seen a reliable source for that yet.
I'm trying to find a reliable source. I've seen it.
No Romano, no Spurs
It can't
Express.
be true, man. It can't be true. It can't be true. You can't sign Mickey van de Ven and then back it up with Longley. That's suicide. There's no way Postecoglou authorized that.
Yeah.
No way.
Johnny H and some other people, but I need to see it from Romano to believe it. But if it's true, oh my goodness.
Listen, I get Postecoglou at Celtic and what he's done. I think it's great. Listen, I like Ange. I'm team Ange. I'm just saying. I don't put this on Ange, by the way, Ash. I don't put this on Ange. I'm putting this on the board, not bringing in the players he needs for the defense. I don't put it on Ange.
Oh, I hear it. And I said at the start, with the fullback situation, with even down to the way he gets, not just, it wasn't just Sanchez. Dyer was told to press aggressively as well. So that, again, it leaves holes. When Dyer followed Lewandowski out wide, because Lewandowski realized, all right, cool, this guy's man marking me is being aggressive. If I pull wide, that's going to leave a nice little gap.
But Porro had no idea where he was. He had no idea where the player was.
I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. Like, I'm saying there is, tactically, there's flaws and personnel as well. Fullbacks, they're not aware. They're more drawn to the ball as opposed to where the space is. They're not defensively minded. They're not defensively aware. That's the reason why it's a bit of a concern for me as well, because we're going super aggressive, but then the players aren't covering each other, especially when we go into a back three at certain times. And that's the only reason why I think defensively, like as a fullback, as much as people don't like him, we might have to look at less attacking fullback in Royale. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I need a reliable source on the Langley. We got 230 people. Please smash a like. We have 230 people. Subscribe and like. Can someone verify this? Because I'm seeing on Twitter, it's not a really good source.
I can't see anything.
If it's not here we go. If it's not a here we go, forget it.
Yeah, I thought it was a here we go. I thought it was reputable journalists. I'm thinking, damn it,
forget it. There's no way. There's no way.
I see.
The problem is, still there is a way. That, you know what I mean? Like, if this was Liverpool, you would say there's no way. The problem is there is a way. We can't just dismiss it, because it should be no way is Longley coming. But with the way we're run, we know there always is that possibility.
I know. Yeah. And there's always that fear.
It should be. There's no way if we were Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, even the scum, right? There's no way they're signing. It's only us where, even if it's bullshit reporting, it's actual still possible.
Yeah, of course.
We can't dismiss it.
Of course. You can't.
Because we've seen it happen too many times.
I see someone talking to Longley like, bro, I didn't see you for a
The
minute.
name of the guy. Can you put the name of the guy, Mari, that guy, Johnny? Can I see Johnny and Daigle on there?
Mari,
The
that guy called it with Madison, and he's close with Brian Daigle. What guy?
I mean, he can call it that, but I haven't seen anything on Twitter from any of the like Spurs ITK Hub, Spurs Express, Fabrizio Romano, Alex Gold. I haven't seen anything like that.
Oh, none. It's, thank you, Lee, for being Ahmad. There's some inappropriate comments. I mean,
Listen, anyone that wants to call me a nonce, a paedophile, a rapist, anything you want, I'm just going to keep blocking you, right? I've blocked 6 in a row. I'm still smiling. You can't phase
What'd you
people
do
like
now,
me.
Stel?
I don't know. I said to Ashmak that our defense is a problem, and it's caused World War III.
Wow. Oh, just to let you guys know who are watching, it's official. We'll be playing Fulham at Cottage.
Here, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Hold on.
Second round.
My fan base is strong, man. I've got a strong fan base, man.
I got it. I got it.
They love me. They love me.
The second round of the Carabao Cup. So let's go to this. Should be fun. Spurs season team predictions. You could do one without Kane, or you could do one with Kane. So I'm gonna do 2. With Kane, I think we get as the current team is right now. With Kane, I think we can finish. I'm being real happy. 6. I'm being nice. Normally I want 6.
Stel, now if they want to call you a nonce, I got to subscribe to the channel. So.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So, we'll finish. Gosh, 6. No, because I have Aston Villa being the dark horse. All right, I'm gonna go 7th with this team. Without Harry Kane, I will say 9th. So I have a 7th with Kane. Without Kane, 9th. Because I have City, I have Liverpool, I have Arsenal, I have Aston Villa, I have Chelsea. I know they had the injuries, but I think they're better than us. And I have Newcastle. United. And then Newcastle, I have the team dropping off because of Champions League. Are they going to be able to handle all that? So, I have a 7th. Literally, it could be anywhere between 7th to 9th, but that's why I have us. People said no way. 6 would be the lowest.
I don't know a team that gets top 6 without having some kind of defensive nous about them. I don't know any team. For me, Mari, do you know what? It all comes down to whether or not this defense can somehow find a way. If the goalkeeper can step up, and if the goalkeeper can have a bit of confidence with the players just sitting in front of him, if Van der Ven and Romero can form a partnership, then I think we can edge into top 6. I do think we can, because we're not in Champions League. But like I said, it's not just them; it's the wing backs. They can't defend, but the fullbacks can. Only Emerson can really defend, but then he can't go forward. He's terrible at going forward. So then you lose some attacking ability. So listen, Andrew's got a tough job with this defense. You know, the same thing that happened to Jose, the same thing that happened to Conte. This manager's got the same problem again. He's got the same problem to deal with. We haven't dealt with it. Scott M said it as soon as he came on. Preseason, the problem that we can all see hasn't been fixed. It has, I don't know how he fixes it, because it's an ability issue, not a tactical issue. This is an ability, an individual player ability issue. You can't teach players how to mark men. You're a professional athlete. If you don't know to pick up a man and mark him, where'd you go with that? at an elite level of football. Where'd you go with that?
And I stand by my prediction: 7th with Kane, maybe 6 to get the Europa League. But without Kane, 9th. Yeah.
I hope we sign Tap Sober last day of the window, man, and then that changes everything. I hope we pull it out the bag. Just pray. That'll change everything for me.
Who wants to go next with their prediction?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. I think with the team that we have now and any reasonable additions, and I don't think a Laporte or Tapsoba are reasonable, assuming that Kane stays, I think we're looking at 8th. I said last night on Wills, I just don't see the top 6, like the big 6, I would say City, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Newcastle. I don't see how we finish ahead of them unless they have something majorly go wrong. I look at those squads. I think they're significantly better than us. I think that they are. I don't see how we finish ahead of them. I think that you have a Villa and a Brighton that are close to us. So I think Villa will likely finish ahead of us. I think Brighton could finish ahead of us, but I do think with them having Europe and their squad not being as deep, I do think that they are susceptible, that if something goes wrong, they could fall back. So I'll have them finishing behind us. And I have us at 8th with Kane. If Kane goes, and assuming we don't replace him with anything significant, and we're going with Richie as our striker, I think we are looking at 10th at the highest without Kane, probably more closer to 11th or 12th. So. Yeah, 8th with Kane.
What hornet's nest did you just whack? Our subscriber count's going up like 10 people in a minute right now.
Our viewing numbers are going up, and the hate crime against me is going up as well.
But look, keep coming, man. The subscriber count keeps climbing right now. It's climbing like 2 or 3 people a second. It's pretty funny.
I don't know.
I'm loving it.
Ash, where are we finishing? What are you thinking?
I'm saying 6th because I'm looking at Newcastle's first 11, very strong. But I'm looking at their bench. I'm not convinced that their bench, their bench is very thin, in my opinion. I'm just looking at their lineup now. And they've got Champions League, so next level, midweek football. Obviously, that hampers us. Aston Villa, they've got a bit more depth. They've got a bit more depth, but not much. Again, they haven't been in Europe for ages. I think Europe's going to have a massive, massive say on where teams finish. I do think.
Ash, can I ask you a question on Aston Villa? Right?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think out of all the European teams, they can get away with playing a less stronger squad in Europe because they're in the Mickey Mouse of European competitions? They don't have to play like a Champions League full strength squad. They can get away with it or not.
I honestly think that Unai Emery wants to target that as a main trophy. I think he knows how to play that trophy. He knows how to win that trophy, and I think he wants to just get that, not monkey off their back, but he wants Villa up, and I think that's the best way for him. Like regardless of where they finish in the league, because if you do well in the conference, you can qualify for another competition. It's another gateway, just in case it doesn't all work out well. But out of the teams, I think Villa have probably they're going to be challenge us the most out of all the teams. Chelsea, it's a transition. They're like us. They're in a bit of a transition. They need midfielders. Have they signed Caicedo? If they sign Caicedo, it changes it a little bit, because I feel like that midfield, that defensive mid, that's what they need.
Have they even got a striker, Chelsea? Have they got a striker?
They have got a striker, and everyone's like worried about Nkunku, but Nkunku wasn't playing the striker. It was actually Jackson, and he looks, for me, he looks like a problem. I'm not gonna lie to you. Have you been watching Murray?
What player is this? Sorry, what player? Who did they say?
Jackson.
Yeah, even before Kudu got injured, I was telling, because Stefan was saying, oh, they're not going to finish the top 10. I said, are you mad? Chelsea's going to be better. And then I was telling them, Jackson, from what I seen in the preseason, that was a great under-the-radar signing for Chelsea. I think Chelsea is going to bounce back. and a smart signing like Jackson.
Just
and
go on
48.
YouTube. Go on YouTube, you man. Go on YouTube real quick. Check out Chelsea versus Newcastle. Just watch that little Premier League series. All you're gonna see is Jackson linking up with Mudryk. Jackson linking up with Nkuku. He's like
Smart.
the link man. He's a proper like old school number 9, but he's strong with it and he's quick, aggressive. He
Yeah.
can finish, but he's fast. He's that slim kind of figure, long, tall,
I
slim.
love this guy.
He's gonna be a problem for me personally next season. But I just feel like
What
Fernandez.
nationality is he?
I think it's not. Is it Sierra Leone or no? He's not Senegalese. Is he Senegalese?
I think so.
Senegalese from Senegal.
So
From Senegal.
he's African.
He's African. Yeah. Oh,
So
African.
so they're going to lose him in January then.
Yeah, they
Like
will
we're
lose
losing Basuma and Pape Sarr, African
yeah,
Nation Cup.
they will lose him.
And some loose song for the Asian.
Looks like Højbjerg is
Yeah.
heading out too. There's no more links today with Atletico Madrid that they're going to put in another bid. If we do lose Højbjerg, who are we getting in for that 6?
We're not going to, Will. I don't think we will.
Is it?
You
That's
got to
what
have
we
a
will.
backup for Basuma. He gets injured or he goes away from it. What are you going to do? Put Pape Massar and Skip in the midfield?
Yeah,
It'll be
no,
Pape Sarr, won't it? Well, they'll probably take the risk that Bentancur comes back, so he's another body. I guess you can move. You got Madison in the midfield as well.
I think it's 1 in, 1 out with Spurs. Honestly, I honestly think, regardless of like, if a player goes out, I think that's when we bring one in. I think that's how Spurs operate. Whether it's the quality signing that we want as fans is a different question. Whether
I'm
it's
telling you, the person we need to get is we need to hijack that Adams Chelsea deal. £20 million, Tyler Adams.
Yeah,
I'm telling
Chelsea's
you.
bringing Adams. No,
I'm
that's a good
telling
deal.
you, that kid.
So someone said in the comments that Chelsea are about to hijack
Right.
Liverpool's Lavia.
Lavia,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they're in for Tyler Adams as well.
yeah, they are.
Poch is in heaven. The last time he's in the Premier League, he's desperate for signings. Now he's gone to Chelsea. Just I'll take it. I'll take it.
But FFP is a myth. Like FFP is a myth. But yeah.
No, I'll tell you what it is. Chelsea. I'll tell you what it is. Chelsea, and this was even under the Roman Abramovich regime. They employ exceptional people at the accountant, legal, and transfer positions in the club. They've always been savvy at it. Really, really savvy at it. And Bowley's come in and he's employing the right people. They've just got the right people to do these jobs. At Spurs, we're very stale. We don't change that board.
Yeah,
Nothing changes in the board. It's the same board over and over again, repeating the same, so.
Yeah, you're right. Even like when I went to transfer market and I looked at their outgoings, it just made sense how they're able to bring players in because they're just so good at.
They sold what's his name? Eden Hazard 100 million. The goalkeeper 50 million. David Luiz 50 million. They make. Also, don't forget they're under investigation as well, aren't they? So
They are. Maybe that's why they were holding back on the Brighton signing for Casado. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know if that's done or not. I heard 100 mil they wanted. I don't know if it was accepted or what. If they quoted it, well, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, sorry. I still think 6th. I'll stand by it. Before the preseason, I said 8th. Then I just saw the patterns of play and I saw what we were trying to do. I said, you know what? I kind of believe in this brother. I think even though the defense, we suck, like we haven't changed much in defense, I still think, yeah, like the team's buying into it. I think that's the difference for me personally. I could be wrong, but yeah, 6th.
I'll go last because I gotta run to training here in about 15 minutes. But for me, I think that Aston Villa, Brighton, Newcastle aren't going to be able to cope with European football as well as people think. I think that they're vulnerable, especially. I mean, look at the move that Arsenal did, right? They went from not having anything to finishing 5th. And even in that season, it was a pretty competitive year, right? So Liverpool was playing well. We were playing really well under Conte. I think probably 6th is a rational spot. And the teams that I think that we finish above, I think, I think Aston Villa, Brighton, one of those two ends up, getting pushed out. I don't think Chelsea will be in the mix this year. So
You have a score for Sunday's game against Brentford.
pain.
Pain.
Not for the scoreline, just pain.
Pain.
Rocky
It's
3.
like pain. Like,
Let's go 3-4 Brentford.
Oh wow, high scoring.
That's just gonna be an emotional. That's an emotional start, man. That's an emotional start to the season.
Yeah, 3-1 Spurs.
I'm out of here, guys. Enjoy the show.
See you
Thanks
later,
for having me on, Mari.
Yeah, please
Later,
subscribe to Tottenham on tour. We have about 240 here.
Subscribe to Southview Coys as well. Subscribe to
Sorry, bro.
channel.
yeah, for real. I forgot.
Yes, that's what I'll put up. Please.
Yeah, man. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah, close to 1,000.
Thank you. Forgot to do that.
No, they're close to 1K.
Oh, where's YouTube?
They're close to 1K. Please get these guys before the season starts to 1K. I think you guys are about like 40 short.
Yeah, roughly. Like for me, I'll be honest with you. If we hit, like brilliant. But I'm kind of like laid back, kind of chill, kind of guy. So I only want people to come if you're feeling what man's saying. If not, it's no pressure.
No. Ignore that rubbish. Don't listen to him. There's 240 people. There's 240 people watching. If 20% of you go right now to Southview Coys and hit subscribe, they're done. So can we get 50%? Can 100 people just take 10 seconds, right? Switch off, go there, hit subscribe. Right, 10 seconds is all you need. Then come back here and listen to the rest of the show. Come on.
They're that
close. Don't listen to his, we only want you. Just go and do it.
It's a fucking whole shit.
Ash knows if they get 1,000 views, Marlon's just gonna force him to do more work while Marlon takes the day off. He knows it's just more work for Ash, more glory that Marlon's gonna take. So. But get over it. It's a great channel. It really is. They're a lot of fun.
Or Scott, if this show is the reason that they get to 1,000, then Ash can then say to Marlon, "Listen, I need more control. I'm calling the shots in this place now."
No, never that. No. We're a family. We're one team, one dream. All of that.
One dream.
Scott, we'll go clockwise. Your prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to say 3-1 Brentford. I think that whether Van de Ven starts or not, he's not going to be ready. But that means that we're starting probably Davies or Dyer or Sanchez. So it's just, I know that Ash is saying that everybody's excited. He sees people buying in, and that's great. But I think it's going to take time. And I think you said it too, right, Ash, this season.
Yeah,
and I just think that they might be buying in, but it's going to take time before they get this sorted. And I just don't see how we have that defense fixed in time. And I know people say, well, they don't have Tony, but I wonder with the way that Mbeumo plays and the way he can make those runs, he might actually be worse for us than this. Obviously it'd be great to have Tony because, like we say with Kane, having a great talent never hurts your team. But the way that Mbeumo makes those runs behind the defense, it's going to be perfect for ripping us open. So we'll see. I don't have the faith. I think it's going to be a tricky game for us.
Mbeumo's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. You're exactly right, Scott, because people think, okay, Tony's not playing. I'm like, whoa. Brentford, they got some other options, and so they're going to, they're going to be a problem. Ash, your prediction?
I'm going to go positive. Happy clapping. Yep, 3-2. I'm optimistic.
Everyone unsubscribe from Southview Coys immediately.
Because I want to back my boys. I want to back the team. Oh, God. I'm not allowed to be like, they say deluded. Am I deluded, yeah? I said, I'm an old school fan. I want to see my team do good. I'm hoping for the best.
It's true.
And I'm gonna be positive. I think we'll concede, and I agree with Scott. Like, I think that defense hasn't changed. I think even more so now we're more exposed. Even like last time we actually went attacking against Brentford and lost. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like this time, even when Postecoglou was like in that first half, they dropped off and talk about Shakhtar Donetsk. I don't know why they stopped. I like that. I like that he doesn't like. He wants them to keep going all the way through, and hopefully, you know, I know it's early, isn't it? So it might not be able to transcend in time, but let a boy dream. Let a boy dream for a little bit. 3-2, my guys. 3-2. It is what it is, man. I'm gonna try and believe. I'm gonna try to stay hopeful, positive.
Still, your prediction.
I think Spurs are going to surprise people this year, but I also think we're going to let ourselves down because of that defense. I think when you look at last season, we lost 3-2 at home. We had chances to win it at 2-2. This year, we're creating more, so I think we take more chances. So I'm going to go with a 3-3 wild score. Is that what you're going to go for?
You just took my score. I had 3-3 too.
Great minds think alike, man. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought it was a win or lose.
3-3.
3-3. Yeah, I think it's going to be a high scoring draw.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild game. Yeah,
I can't wait. I think it's going to be dope.
Yeah, I have 3-3. I think we're going to leak. We're going to score goals, but we're also going to leak goals. So it's going to be interesting. Is this true? Mbeumo is an injury doubt? If he's injured, then I can see us winning 3-2. If he's
Last
injured,
I saw, he had an injury, but I think still likely to play.
But that's like, you know what though? But that's like saying Harry Kane might be sold by the weekend to Bayern Munich. So that can balance out. We don't know, right? We just don't know. It can balance out.
So, yeah, once again, we got 200 people here. Please hit the like and subscribe. Also, subscribe once again. I'm going to put the link to Southview Coys. They are close to 1,000. Please subscribe to them. And, yeah, quick question. Tomorrow will be also the rivals. North London is ours. Me and TJ and some guests will go head-to-head tomorrow, talk about Arsenal's upcoming game, talk about Spurs' upcoming game. They'll probably start trash talking about getting David Raya in our first choice, which I still believe was our first choice, but we didn't want to pay. So it's going to be an interesting show tomorrow. Is the Friday show back, still?
No. I'm going to do a show Friday morning, 9:30. Just going to do a pre-season show. I do shows in the morning now, guys. If anyone's watching, between 9:30 and 10, I just go live before I go to the gym and put myself through pain that I can't handle. But tomorrow I'm not doing one. But Friday I'm doing a show at 9:30, Premier League preview. And then we've got the watch along on the weekend. I'm sure Iggy will do some kind of video as well in the morning too.
Yeah. And I'm also going to do one for the start about Romero. The truth, dispelling some myths. The name of the show is called Why Always Me? Pretty much to Balotelli, famous saying, why always me? And I'm going to do one on Romero. A fair and balanced look about Romero and why he is important to us this season, because he's going to play a very important part. But Ash, when is the next show? I think the Has has a show tomorrow.
Yeah, so guys, if you want to get involved, there's a call-in show. If you want to have an opinion of what I've said, it said Ash was talking loads of waffle nonsense. Jump on the Has versus Has show and give your view about the preview. You know, we're going to be talking about the match to come and all things Spurs related. So jump on, guys. Have your say. You're more than welcome to come in and say your bit and say your piece. So we're doing a call-in show. Yeah, and then obviously we're doing the post-match as well on the Sunday. And I'm back again for my transfer shows where I look at 1 or 2 players that we've been linked with. And yeah, guys, if you've got any players that you want me to look at as well, or you think this is a player that needs to replace Højbjerg, I don't know when already, to be fair, but yeah, yeah, man, just keep them coming, keep them coming.
Do one on that guy that we linked with, that defender. The people are divided over. Is it per Schropp?
I did it on Tuesday. I actually did them on Tuesday. So guys, if you want to look on the live, it's on our show, the last live show which we did on Tuesday. Click on that one, just forward it all the way through, and I did an analysis on Persha. And this week I'm going to do one on a Croatian defender that played with Guardiola in Croatia. So we're linked with him as well. We're linked with loads of players. So yeah, just come along and you'll see what I want. But yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, guys, season's going to start. Well, just want to give a big up to the Spurs fan with the super chat. Big up to some great questions. One of the best ones was the more famous. Wanted to get to this question, but I think people talked about it. Madison, Pasuma, Lo Celso. That's a good maybe starting midfield 3. Some people want Højbjerg instead of Lo Celso, but if Højbjerg, if the rumor is true, he gets sold, it could be Lo Celso. So, yeah. Big up to everybody who has been here. Moni, Dietrich, Howard Vale, our lawyer. Big up Top Spurs, Brian Daigle. Big up to everybody. Wolves, who's in the house. Big up Ball Being Countered, Joe Red, Michael W, Scorpions for life. Big up to Joel's. Everybody that has come in. And yeah, all I got is it's the beginning of the season. Let's get a positive victory. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Leave you out.